So it looks like PlayStation 5 Pro may be using some parts of RDNA 4 architecture. Let's look into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we are getting more and more information about PlayStation 5 Pro specs. Now, most of this information comes from very reliable sources like Tom Henderson or Kepler L2, for example. And it's Kepler L2 that shared his thoughts on PlayStation 5 Pro GPU, and he suggested that it may be using RDNA 4 RT engines, right? So that's very interesting information, but there's actually more I want to share with you today, really. So I've got article by wccftech.com in front of me. And by the way, you will find the link in the description of this video below, so you can check it yourself. So on top of all the information I reported on PlayStation 5 Pro already, now we've got more information about its CPU. Looks like it's not really going to be that different from PlayStation 5 CPU. It will be slightly faster by 10%, so that's not really a lot, really. 3.8 gigahertz. So that, you know, and I think PlayStation 5's CPU was clocked at 3.5, I think, or 6.5, I think. On top of that, memory system also sees a 28 boost over the base model, going from 448 gigabytes per second to 576 gigabytes per second. So that's actually a pretty decent upgrade. Audio will also improve with the console's ACV running at higher clock speed. Now, let's actually talk about the most interesting part. The GPU, really. Now, I'll have my thoughts on the CPU probably in the separate video because there's just too much information. But generally speaking, what I can say is that, you know, this CPU boost is not a lot, right? And it may have some serious consequences when it comes to games. But yeah, it's not really going to give us much of a performance boost in games that are CPU limited, right? Like big open world games, for example, right? But hey, we'll see how that goes. I've got some thoughts on it that I will share probably tomorrow. Okay, let's talk about the PlayStation 5 Pro's GPU then. There's more details on it. According to Tom Henderson, it will support 30 working group processors running specialized BVH 8 traversal shaders over 18 working groups processors running BVH4 traversal shaders on the base model. So that's way more. According to AMD leaker Kepler, this is rather interesting as it confirms the console uses RDNA 4's RT engine. Also, it confirms a new detail on the architecture, revealing a double ray tracing throughput per cycle, suggesting the console's ray tracing performance will be considerably improved. And this actually just backs up what Tom Henderson said a couple of days ago, where he suggested that RT performance on PlayStation 5 Pro will be much better, right? I mean, you know, double, maybe 3 times better than on PlayStation 5 apparently, right? I'm talking about ray tracing performance. So whatever calculations needs to be done for ray tracing, PlayStation 5 Pro will be 3 times as fast as, for example, as PlayStation 5, right? But that doesn't mean that games will run 3 times faster, if you know what I mean, especially with that CPU, that's for sure. But like I said, I'll talk about PlayStation 5 Pro's CPU in another video. So this is interesting, and these specs clearly show that PlayStation is betting on better graphics, not really performance. And I know that some people are super excited about like, oh, more 60 frames per second and 4K games and that kind of stuff. I mean, yes, I mean, you will see better graphics and probably improved performance in GPU limited scenarios. So, I mean, better graphics is a given, really. Especially with that RT performance. So like so quality modes that uses ray tracing, these will be much better for sure. So looks like PlayStation is going all in on better graphics, high resolutions, and better lighting, I guess, and that kind of stuff with ray tracing. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how will that impact the real performance, because better ray tracing, more ray tracing calculations means more strain on the CPU. Maybe that's why they offered a 10% boost for that, right? Because ray tracing is actually pretty heavy on CPU, by the way. On top of that, memory bandwidth, well, they did improve it by 30%, but then, like I said, some of these effects, and also don't forget that the PlayStation is apparently PlayStation 5 Pro is probably reportedly going to be using some new form of resolution upscaling reconstruction made by Sony, right? And which apparently is using AI too. So looks like they will have much better AI capabilities. I mean, PlayStation 5 don't really have, because it's still a console here that people use this. So PlayStation 5 don't really have any dedicated hardware or instructions. I mean, it still can run machine learning calculations, no problem, but just slow. So it looks like PlayStation 5 Pro will be much better with that. It will support these, I guess, calculations better. I mean, more will be possible, really. So looks like they will be using that mainly for that upscaling technology, but we don't really know much about it, right? I mean, people compare it to NVIDIA DLSS, but there's been some reports that developers will not have to feed data into like ML model on a server to teach it. How to reconstruct images and that kind of stuff. So that's the way, NVIDIA does it. So I'm actually very curious of how PlayStation is going to go about it, really, right? I mean, how will that actually improve, right? So that's going to be interesting, but it sounds like it's going to be better than FSR 2 for sure. So, that's a big win anyway. So yeah. I mean, PlayStation is going to have a very capable GPU, not so much when it comes to CPU, sadly. So this console is not really going to improve performance by much, if at all, with that 10% boost, which will probably be used for some other stuff like ray tracing, but possibly for some of the cycles will be used for upscaling too, but we're just speculating here right now, so we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. It's not that it's official just yet, but yeah, like I said, the sources are very, very good. So yeah, it is what it is. So if you are into graphics and you want high resolutions in your games, I guess PlayStation 5 Pro will be the console for you. But other than that, if you were expecting, much better running games, yeah, I would hold for now, because, I don't think you're going to see much of a performance boost, especially, when it comes to these 30 frames per second games, right? I mean, most of these games are CPU limited, and CPU will not improve really on PlayStation 5 Pro that much. So anyway, guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.